Breaking overnight, the new year gets off to a deadly start in South Philadelphia. Philadelphia police say a 37-year-old man was shot once in the thigh on West Rittner Street around 12:30 this morning. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. So far, no word on the motive for this shooting. Police have not yet made any arrests. Well, as 2021 begins, the violence continues in Philadelphia. Eyewitness News reporter Dan Coop has more on a deadly shooting which happened just a half hour into the new year.
After nearly 500 homicides in the city of Philadelphia last year, in the earliest of hours in 2021, we saw our first homicide here on the 100 block of West Rittner Street. Police say a 37-year-old man was shot in the thigh just a half hour after we left 2020 behind. The man was transported to Jefferson Hospital, where he was pronounced dead just before 1 a.m. 2020 saw more than 2,000 people shot, including a surge in women and children, as city leaders continue to try and figure it out.
We have to re-examine these strategies and figure out what's not working, and also look at what's working and invest in those areas that are working.
Already before the first day is done in 2021, a morbid new count begins. Dan Coop, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Also breaking overnight, a car flips onto its roof on I-76 near Girard in West Philadelphia, and police say a double shooting may have caused that crash. Police say shortly after 11 o'clock, a 19-year-old man in that car was shot 11 times, including once in the head. A 20-year-old man who was also in the car was shot once in the lower back. Another driver stopped and took the men to the hospital. So far, no word on who may have pulled the trigger. 76 westbound was closed for a few hours as police investigated. All lanes are now reopened to traffic. Violence did not stop there either. Police are trying to find the gunman who shot a 30-year-old man in southwest Philadelphia. This shooting happened around 4:30 this morning on the 2500 block of South 66th Street in Elmwood. And we just got an update from police. They tell us the victim was pronounced dead at the hospital. And a woman has been shot in her apartment in Center City, Philadelphia. Police rushed to 21st and Walnut Streets in Rittenhouse Square around 2:15 this morning. She's now in stable condition after being shot in her hip and hand.
It was a violent first night of 2021 as gun violence continues to plague the streets of Philadelphia. Eyewitness News reporter Kimberly Davis is at police headquarters with more on the tragic numbers from overnight. Kimberly?
Yuki, and many were hoping to begin 2021 on a more peaceful note, but unfortunately that was not the case. So far, 3 lives have been cut short, not even 12 hours into the new year. 2020 was filled with pain for much of the country, but especially 498 families in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And for those families, Philadelphia did not live up to its nickname. That's how many lives were lost due to violence. It even left one mother afraid to let her children play outside after 7-year-old Zaymar Jones was shot and killed on his own front porch back in August.
She's scared to come around here to play with her friends. She's telling me she don't want no more of her friends to die. So how do you think I feel as a mom hearing that from an 8-year-old?
It's a new year, but sadly Philadelphia is off to a similar start. According to police, 3 people were shot and killed early New Year's Day, starting with the shooting of a 37-year-old man in the 100 block of Rittner Street in South Philadelphia just minutes after midnight, to Rittenhouse Square, where a young woman was shot twice inside of a Walnut Street apartment building. In a letter to the city, Mayor Jim Kenney addressed the gun violence New Year's Eve. It reads in part, "The majority of the lives lost to violence were taken by gunfire, and more than 2,000 people were shot overall. An alarming number of shooting victims were women and children, and those who survived were left with life-changing trauma and medical issues that create additional barriers to a full recovery." In a year of financial cuts and layoffs, the mayor says his office is pulling in resources to reduce the city's gun violence. I reached out to the Philadelphia Police Department, but a spokesperson there declined to comment on the city's problem. We're live outside of police headquarters. I'm Kimberly Davis, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Kim, thank you.
Delaware County, where police are asking for the public's help to find a man wanted for murder. Police in Upper Darby Township are looking for Khalid Green. He's wanted in connection to a homicide that happened back on December 22nd. He is 5'3" and considered armed and dangerous. If you know anything, Upper Darby Township Police want to hear from you. An 83-year-old man is in the intensive care unit tonight after he was bound, gagged, and robbed inside his home. Tonight, his family is pleading for answers about the attack on New Year's Eve. Live Witness News reporter Dan Koob has more from North Philadelphia.
Honestly, I'm still in disbelief.
Gio Gesmondo is on edge. His 83-year-old father was beaten at some point New Year's Eve night by intruders who broke into his North Philly home and gagged him.
Duct taped his legs, duct taped his arms, duct taped his mouth all around his head.
Gio shows us this picture of Mauricio Gesmundo, now in the ICU at Temple Hospital with brain bleeds, but in stable condition. Police say he was beaten with closed fists around the head and face and only found around 3 a.m. once family returned to the home on the 3900 block of Fairhill Street after celebrating New Year's. No arrests have been made as the investigation continues, but whoever did it got away with more than $30,000 cash that was in the home as well.
I just don't understand how anyone can do this to any human being, let alone an 83-year-old.
Gio tells us his father has lived in the home for 41 years and wants justice for a man he describes as someone who would do anything for his family and for his community.
And if there's anyone who, on my dad's street that witnessed anything, we're just hoping that someone can speak up.
In North Philly, Dan Koob, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
This just into the Eyewitness newsroom. A pedestrian struck and killed by an alleged hit-and-run driver in Kensington. It happened just before 7 along the 300 block of East Allegheny Avenue. Police say a 75-year-old woman was crossing the street when a maroon Honda Civic struck her, then fled the scene. The woman was pronounced dead at Temple. We're told the driver was found a short time later. We are waiting for Philadelphia police to release additional details.
A woman crossing the street in Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood has died in a hit and run. Investigators say a maroon Honda Civic hit the 75-year-old woman on East Allegheny Avenue just before 7 o'clock last night. She died a short time later. Police say the driver left the scene, but they later apprehended a suspect.
A shooting in the Holmesburg section of Philadelphia sends a 16-year-old boy to the hospital. Police say he was shot in the back of the head in the 7400 block of Torresdale Avenue around 7 tonight. He was taken to Jefferson Torresdale Hospital. He is listed in critical but stable condition. So far, there have been no arrests. To that tally, a 25-year-old man is among Philadelphia's latest gunshot victims in 2021. Police were called to the 2800 block of Michael Road in Northeast Philadelphia just after 2 this afternoon, where that victim was located. He was taken to Jefferson Torresdale. He is listed in critical condition.
And 5:16 now, breaking overnight, Philadelphia police are investigating a deadly shooting. This happening in Kensington at E and Indiana Avenue around 1 o'clock this morning. That's where police say the 27-year-old man was shot in the head. Police rushed him to the hospital, but he did not survive his injuries. No word yet on a motive, and so far, no arrests. Overnight, a 25-year-old man is shot and killed in West Philadelphia. Police found him unresponsive with gunshot wounds to his leg and chest around 3:20 this morning on the 100 block of North Farson Street. 2 cars parked nearby were also hit by that gunfire. Police say the victim was with his girlfriend when he was shot. Family and friends tell police an ex-boyfriend may have been involved in that shooting. Police are now checking surveillance cameras in the area. And another shooting happening about a block away has left a man critically injured. Eyewitness News at the scene on the 5100 block of Arch Street earlier this morning, where police say the 38-year-old victim was shot in the head. He's listed in critical but stable condition. Investigators don't believe those shootings are related. Gun violence as a man is shot and killed overnight in Philadelphia's Holmesburg section. This happened just after 10 o'clock last night on the 4700 block of Loring Street. Police say they rushed the 26-year-old victim to the hospital, but he did not survive his injuries. No word on a motive, and so far no arrests in the case.
We're following breaking news in Philadelphia's Strawberry Mansion neighborhood, where a man was killed just down the street from his home. Police tell us the man in his 50s was shot in the head and back on the 1800 block of North 31st Street. Officers rushed him to Temple University Hospital, where he died. So far, no arrests.
Philadelphia police are investigating the shooting of a man in Oxford Circle this morning. Chopper 3 was over the scene on the 1400 block of Rosalie Street. A 29-year-old man was shot once in the shoulder. He's now in stable condition at a hospital. Police did not recover a weapon. And also breaking overnight, a man is shot while driving, causing him to lose control and crash into several things, including a house in Philadelphia. This happened shortly before 1 o'clock this morning on the 5500 block of Matthews Street. That's in East Germantown. Police say about a dozen shots were fired, but the 39-year-old driver was hit just once in the arm. The minivan then jumped the curb, hitting a traffic light, a house, and a parked car. A woman in the passenger seat, fortunately, was not hurt. The victim was taken to the hospital in stable condition. And while investigating that shooting and crash, police say they heard more gunfire. They rushed over to find a 23-year-old man shot multiple times on the 1300 block of East Haines Street. Investigators believe the victim was shot while sitting in his parked car, but he managed to get out of the vehicle and then collapsed. Police say the victim is in extremely critical condition. There's no word yet on a motive for that shooting, and no arrests have been made.
A long-awaited homecoming for a little boy who's been hospitalized for nearly 5 months. Eyewitness News in East Frankfort at the home of Christopher Curie. The 5-year-old was critically injured by a hit-and-run driver near his home last August. Today, after winning the fight for his life, he was able to leave St. Christopher's Hospital and be with his family at home. For his loved ones, today is a huge milestone. You saw his hat as Batman returns.
He's 6 months in and he's talking, he's up, he's alert, he's happy, he's everything.
Just to see my kids reunited again, you know, like he's home. We're whole again. We're whole again.
I know.
We got a long road to go, but we're whole again.
Christopher will continue with speech, occupational, and physical therapy from home. The person who hit Christopher, by the way, is still at large.
A teenager is in critical condition tonight after he was shot in North Philadelphia. This happened in the 900 block of West Boston Street. Police say the 16-year-old was shot in the abdomen, lower back, right shoulder, and ankle around 6. He was taken to Temple for treatment. So far, police say there have been no arrests. Let's get some other news this Sunday night. The search is on for the gunman wanted in a deadly shooting in West Philadelphia. A car with shattered windows was part of the crime scene at 52nd and Cedar. Police say the gunman shot a 30-year-old man 3 times. Just after 2:30 this afternoon, someone drove the victim to nearby Mercy Hospital, where he died from his wounds. There's no word on what sparked this shooting. Gunfire in Kensington. A 24-year-old man is fighting for his life at Jefferson Hospital. Someone opened fire on him in the 1800 block of East Allegheny. This happened around 11 o'clock this morning. A 46-year-old man was also shot. He is expected to be okay. Police are searching for the shooter and a motive.
Breaking overnight, gunfire and flames in Philadelphia's Fairhill neighborhood. Police say a man was sitting inside of a vehicle when someone shot him and lit the car on fire. You can see the car engulfed in flames in this eyewitness video. It happened at 11 o'clock last night at East Tioga and A Streets. Police say the 40-year-old victim was shot in the arm and stomach and has some minor burns. He's in stable condition. So far, no arrests have been made.
A man is shot and killed while walking his dog in Brewery Town. The shooting happened at 31st and Jefferson. Police tell us the 25-year-old victim was shot in the chest about a block away from his home around 7 o'clock tonight. Detectives think 2 men robbed the victim before they killed him. But first, breaking news. Do you recognize these men? They're wanted for shooting and killing a young man out walking his dog. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
And I'm Jessica Cartalia. Milan Loncher's family is devastated. The 25-year-old was looking forward to so much this year. Tonight, his sister tells me she got an alert on her phone through the Citizen app that there had been a shooting in their Brewery Town neighborhood. When they couldn't get a hold of him on his phone, they knew something was wrong.
He was living his best life. His girlfriend was moving in next month.
Yelena Loncher says her brother Milan had everything going for him.
There was no reason for this. This wasn't supposed to happen. He's 25.
Around 7 o'clock Wednesday night, Launcher was walking his dog when two suspects approach him near 31st and Jefferson Streets. Surveillance video just released captures the moment two men surround Milan. One puts a gun to his chest while another goes through his pockets. Seconds later, he's killed.
No money on him. Like, no weapon. Murdered. For a while, I was wondering if he was targeted, but like, he didn't have anything on him. He couldn't have been. This was intentional, just to kill him.
Police tell us Launcher called for help, then dropped his phone. When they arrived, he was still holding on to his dog's leash.
This was just senseless. It was just, it was just awful.
Launcher graduated from Temple in 2019. Before that, Conestoga High School. He was working for Whiting Turner, a job he loved.
You guys are really close.
We do Sunday dinner every week. He is honestly like the heart of our group, and it's just not gonna be the same. He was so good. He was so good.
Milan's father is flying back to Philly now from Serbia. Detectives want people to get a good look at the jeans that the suspects were wearing, as well as their shoes, believing that these are vital clues to track them down. We have the full surveillance video on CBSPhilly.com, as well as on our Facebook page.
Cell phones and candles lit up the photo tonight of Milan Launcher, a recent Temple graduate gunned down Wednesday night in Brewerytown while walking his dog. Investigators say the two suspects were wearing distinct jeans and shoes at the time. The police department is offering a $20,000 reward. Milan's family has raised more than $25,000 in reward money as well.
Breaking right now, the Philadelphia Police Homicide Unit confirms to CBS 3 Eyewitness News. So far, one man will be brought up on account of murder in the shooting death of Milan Launcher. It was Wednesday night when surveillance cameras captured two men trying to rob Launcher, whom police say was out walking his dog. After shooting the 25-year-old, the pair ran off. Police say they brought three siblings in for questioning earlier this evening. One will soon be arraigned on account of murder. Police are still seeking the second person seen in that surveillance footage. Right now at 6:30, arrested and charged. Police say they have this man in custody charged with the murder of another man who was walking his dog Wednesday night. Good evening, I'm Joe Holden. 20-year-old Josephus Davis is facing a list of charges stemming from the murder of Milan Launcher. Police say 25-year-old Launcher, a Temple graduate, was shot at 31st and Jefferson Streets Wednesday evening in Brewerytown. He was walking his dog when police say two men approached him and attempted to rob him. One of the men then shot Launcher, killing him. Launcher was still holding his dog's leash when he was found by police, according to investigators. Tonight, suspect Josephus Davis behind bars, and police say they have now identified another person of interest. It is a story we will continue to follow. CBS 3 is learning new information about the man under arrest tonight for the murder of Milan Launcher, and court records show he has an extensive criminal history. The latest now, police say Josephus Davis has been charged in the fatal shooting of the 25-year-old Temple graduate who was ambushed while out walking his dog Wednesday night. It happened at 31st and Jefferson. Investigators say the motive was attempted robbery. Court records on Josephus Davis, or Davis Josephus as he's listed, include convictions on robbery. That same defendant, records show, was in jail on separate cases of aggravated assault until a judge on December 23rd granted a motion reducing his bail. He was released on December 29th. We left messages for Davis's attorney of record. We also reached out to the district attorney's office. A spokesperson emailed that judges had twice granted reductions in his bail over prosecutors' objections. Meanwhile, in the Launcher case, police say they have identified a second person of interest.
A Philadelphia police officer is facing dismissal after Internal Affairs arrested him for vandalism. Prosecutors have charged Officer Ryan Perez with criminal mischief and other crimes. The 5-year veteran of the force was most recently assigned to the 25th District. Police say the incident happened in December of 2019. Officer Perez is suspended with the intent to dismiss in 30 days.
And breaking overnight, Philadelphia police are trying to determine if an argument over trash led to a deadly shooting in the city's Tioga neighborhood. Police say they were called to the 1600 block of West Allegheny Avenue just after 11:30 last night. And that's where they discovered a 37-year-old man lying on the steps of his apartment building with a gunshot wound to the face and trash strewn across the crime scene. When police arrived, they say they saw two men running away.
39th District Police chased one of the males and apprehended him about 3 blocks from this location. And when they apprehended the male had a semi-automatic weapon in his possession. So we're not sure at this time if that male that we apprehended with the gun was the shooter or involved.
Officers say they believe the victim may have been arguing with someone about the trash in front of that apartment building before he was shot. Officers are now checking surveillance video in the area. And we're back with breaking news right now. A woman shot and killed and then thrown from a car in the Frankfort section of Philadelphia. This is a live look from the scene right now at Penn and Dyer Streets, where detectives are now investigating. Police telling Eyewitness News the woman also had a bag of clothes with her. Right now, they're working to recover surveillance video so they can identify the car. But again, a woman shot and killed and then thrown from a car in the Frankfort section of the city. Is on for a killer after a woman is found shot to death near a street corner in Frankfort. And now police are hoping that surveillance video can reveal how that happened. Eyewitness News reporter Jan Carabeo has the very latest on the investigation.
When police arrived here in Frankfort, they found a disturbing scene. A woman's mangled body lay both in the sidewalk and the street. Today, investigators are trying to figure out how she got there. Philadelphia police searching for eyewitnesses and surveillance video today near the intersection of Penn and Dyer Streets. It's still unclear what exactly happened here around 5 o'clock this morning. Police responded to the 5000 block of Penn after a woman was reportedly pushed out of a car and shot. That woman was unconscious when police arrived. Officers rushed her to the hospital where she was pronounced dead, and investigators say she had been shot in the stomach.
We know at least one shot was fired from a semi-automatic weapon. We found one spent shell casing and a projectile just inches next to her body where she was laying on the curb. So that it appears that the shooter or shooters were standing very, very close to this female victim. Also next to her body we found a bag of clothing as well as a backpack. We're not certain that it belonged to her, but it was very close to where she was laying on the highway.
And police are still trying to determine if the victim was shoved from a car. They have not yet released a description of a vehicle possibly involved, but they have found private surveillance cameras in the area that they hope will help. Now investigators have identified the victim, but they're only releasing that her last known address was in the city of Philadelphia and that she was 32 years old. In Frankfort, Jan Carabeo, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
4 teenagers were shot in North Philadelphia tonight. It happened in the 5000 block of North 10th Street. The teenagers, who range in age 14 to 16, were dropped off at Einstein Hospital, where they are listed in stable condition.
News developing tonight. Police are searching for the person who shot a 17-year-old teen in East Germantown. Police say shots were fired in the 1300 block of East Price Street around 1:30 this afternoon. The victim was hit 3 times and rushed to Einstein Medical Center by police. Tonight we're told he remains in critical condition. To West Philadelphia, where another shooting has left a man fighting for his life. Police say shots rang out around 4 this afternoon at 40th and Cambridge. The victim was shot in his face. Police rushed him to Penn Presby, where he is also in critical condition. No arrests have been made. A 15-year-old boy is in critical condition tonight after he was shot in the face. It happened at 40th and Cambridge Streets in West Philadelphia around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Police tell us the teen was taken to Penn Presby for treatment. It is unclear at this time right now if there are any arrests. Police are telling us no weapon recovered. Two teens shot earlier today in East Germantown. Police called to the 1300 block of East Price Street. It was 1:30 this afternoon. They say a 17-year-old shot 3 times and taken to Einstein. He is in critical. An 18-year-old shot once and taken to Chestnut Hill Hospital. He is expected to be okay. There are no arrests in this double shooting. And in other news this Sunday night, Falls Township Police looking for this man identified as Shane Ferguson. Investigators say he is wanted for the alleged rape of a child in Morrisville. They believe Ferguson to be driving a black Infiniti JX35, similar to the one there on your screen. Pennsylvania license plate number LBB1409. You are asked to call police with any information.
We have some breaking news just into our newsroom right now. Police say a 17-year-old boy was shot and killed tonight in North Philadelphia. Chopper 3 over the scene on the 2100 block of West Jefferson Street. Police say the victim was shot once in the face and died within the last hour. No one has been arrested. A 14-year-old boy was shot tonight in West Philadelphia. It happened at 57th and Haverford. The victim was taken to Children's Hospital with a gunshot wound to his foot. We're told he's in stable condition. We first told you about on Saturday. Tonight, police confirm a 15-year-old boy who was also shot in West Philadelphia has died. Police say someone shot him in the face around 4 in the afternoon near 40th and Cambridge. So far, no one has been arrested.
Tonight, a gunman opened fire on a car, killing the driver inside. This shooting happened at Broad and Packer in South Philadelphia. Witnesses say that the gunman jumped out of a red car, stopped at the traffic light, walked up to the 29-year-old victim who was driving a blue car, and fired at least 16 rounds. Police are looking for a suspect.
Gun violence, this time in Philadelphia's Germantown neighborhood. A man was shot in the face just after 1 this morning on the 4900 block of Wayne Avenue. Police say the 29-year-old victim was shot multiple times, then ran inside of a convenience store for help. He's in critical condition. Investigators found a bag of what they believe is marijuana in the victim's car. No arrests have been made.
5:06 now.
Breaking overnight, a violent night in Philadelphia leaves at least 2 people dead, including a driver who was gunned down while sitting at a traffic light. Eyewitness News reporter Howard Monroe has the latest from police headquarters.
Including these 2 homicides, Philadelphia has recorded 17 homicides for the year, which is down compared to last year. Among the victims was a 17-year-old boy. Chopper 3 was overhead where he was shot and killed on Jefferson Street. The homicide happened in North Philly just after 9 p.m. Police say he was shot in the face and found in a breezeway between 2 buildings. Police say 2 separate guns were used. At least 16 shots were fired. Police say the boy lived 4 blocks from where he was killed.
We don't have a description, nor do we have a motive for that shooting.
Just before 9 p.m., police were called to the intersection of Broad and Packer in South Philly. When they got there, they found a 29-year-old man slumped over in the driver's seat of a blue Honda sedan. After the shooting, the man tried to drive away but hit a telephone pole. At least 16 shots were fired into the vehicle. The man was hit multiple times. Police say a person in a red car jumped out of the back seat and shot the man. The victim lived in South Philly, but several miles from where the shooting happened. No one has been arrested for either of these homicides, and no weapons have been recovered. At police headquarters, Howard Monroe, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
And we're following breaking news. Police say an argument led to a deadly shooting in South Philadelphia. A 28-year-old man was found shot twice in the back in the 1700 block of Newkirk Street. Officers rushed him to Temple University Hospital where he died. Police say a female suspect who fired those shots has been taken into custody.
And we're back with breaking news overnight. A woman has been shot to death inside of a home in Northeast Philadelphia. The shooting happened around 3:30 this morning on the 2000 block of Carver Street in Frankford. Police found the woman shot in the head in a second-floor bedroom. Medics pronouncing her dead at the scene. Investigators say children were inside of the home at the time of the shooting, but they were not hurt. Police say the shooting is a domestic case.
Breaking overnight, 3 people are gunned down in Philadelphia's Mantua neighborhood. Police are now searching for the gunman. It happened around 11:30 last night on the 3800 block of Wallace Street. Police say 2 women and a man were shot while sitting in a car. All 3 victims are in critical condition. Eyewitnesses tell police that a silver or light-colored vehicle, possibly a Jeep, fled the scene. Again, no arrests have been made. We have some breaking news out of North Philadelphia. A 9-year-old girl has been shot in the head. The shooting happened around 11 this morning on the 2300 block of North Bouvier Street. We're told the child is in critical condition. Police found 2 weapons. The shooting is under investigation.
We're also following a developing story this evening. A 9-year-old child is shot and killed in a North Philadelphia home. There were no adults, just other children in the house. Eyewitness News reporter Howard Monroe is following the investigation.
A neighborhood in shock after learning a 9-year-old girl was shot and killed inside of her North Philadelphia home.
We have to do better in terms of protecting our children from gun violence of all types.
The shooting happened at about 11 a.m. Wednesday. The girl was shot on the right side of her head inside the house on the 2300 block of North Bouvier Street. Video from the Citizen app shows medics rushing to try to rescue the girl. The 9-year-old was home unattended at the time of the shooting with 2 other children ages 5 and 12. Police say the 12-year-old is the one who called 911. The girl was rushed here to Temple University Hospital. Meanwhile, 2 guns were recovered from the home.
There were multiple weapons located within the residence, and at this time we don't know the legality of those weapons.
Police are investigating how the girl was shot and if she accidentally shot herself. In 2020, over 100 children were shot in the city of Philadelphia.
And we've had enough. I mean, we just have to come together as a community. We've got to come together as criminal justice partners. We've got to come together with all of the institutions and organizations and do better. This is unacceptable.
Howard Monroe, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
We have an update on the shooting death of a 9-year-old girl in North Philadelphia. Police now say a 5-year-old shot and killed the girl. We're told the 2 children were home unattended with a 12-year-old at the time of the shooting. It happened on the 2300 block of North Bouvier Street around 11 o'clock this morning. Police discovered the victim with a critical wound to the right side of her head. There's still no information about how the child got hold of the gun in the first place.
And there are some new developments this afternoon in the deadly shooting of a 9-year-old girl in Philadelphia last week. We have learned that the girl's brother is now facing involuntary manslaughter charges. 9-year-old Nissa Davis was shot in the head and died at the hospital on January 20th. Her 5-year-old cousin is accused of accidentally pulling the trigger. Now Davis, her cousin, and her 12-year-old brother were all home alone on Bouvier Street at the time of the shooting. The girl's father, Blake Davis, is also facing charges.
We have new information tonight in a disturbing case. A 12-year-old boy is now facing charges in the shooting death of his 9-year-old sister. Both were home alone when a 5-year-old allegedly pulled the trigger. Joe Holden reports.
Good evening. Philadelphia police and the district attorney's office have moved to charge a 12-year-old saying he had influence over a 5-year-old who pulled the trigger, killing a 9-year-old. Inside this West Philadelphia building on Wednesday morning, a 12-year-old faced a juvenile court judge for a detention hearing. He has since been charged in connection to the fatal shooting of his 9-year-old sister, Nissa Davis. Police investigators say the 12-year-old child will answer for his so-called influence over another child home at the time, a 5-year-old whom detectives say actually fired the weapon, unleashing the shot that struck Nissa Davis in the head. Police say 2 firearms were recovered from the North Philadelphia home. Both, they allege, were purchased off the streets and illegally by the 9-year-old's father, Blake Davis. Investigators say he paid $800 for each weapon. Davis is charged with involuntary manslaughter. Investigators say the children, none of whom were in school because of the pandemic, were unsupervised in the North Philadelphia home when the shooting happened. Philadelphia Police Department declined to comment, and the district attorney's office cited law, saying they could not talk about juvenile matters. Outside the DA's office in Center City, I'm Joe Holden, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
A 52-year-old woman has died in a shooting in Fox Chase. It happened in the 900 block of Hardell Avenue around 6:30 tonight. Police say the 52-year-old woman was in her SUV parked in front of her home when another vehicle pulled up. They say the shooter reached out the driver's side window and shot the victim several times. Police rushed her to the hospital where she died. No arrests have been made.
And a woman was shot to death in Northeast Philadelphia's Fox Chase neighborhood. This happened around 6:30 last night on the 900 block of Hartel Avenue. Police say the 52-year-old woman was sitting in her SUV parked in front of her home when another vehicle pulled up. They say the shooter reached out of the driver's side window and shot the victim several times. Police tell Eyewitness News that the victim knew her attacker. So far, no arrests have been made in this case either.
Philadelphia police are investigating the shooting of a woman who says that she was making deliveries for Uber Eats. Trang Do has the latest on the investigation from police headquarters.
The young woman is stable and remains in the hospital after she was shot in the arm and chest with the same bullet. Meanwhile, police have very few leads on the shooter and is asking for the public's help. Philadelphia police are looking for a man driving an older model white pickup truck who fired at least 11 shots at a 19-year-old woman near the intersection of 47th and Chestnut Streets just after 4 p.m. Wednesday. Officers nearby heard the gunshots and rushed to respond.
When we got here, a bunch of shell casings were out on the highway, but there was no victim.
A man in the car with the victim drove her to nearby Penn Presbyterian Hospital. A bullet had gone through her right arm and into her chest.
After she was shot, he heroically, to be quite honest, took control of the car and drove her to the hospital. So I commend that gentleman.
Captain Matthew Gillespie, commanding officer of West Philadelphia's 18th District, says the woman told investigators she was making deliveries for Uber Eats when she was shot.
There was a double parked white pickup truck out here, and they got into a verbal argument. And a male got out of that car and fired 11 times at her simply over a parking situation.
The shooting happened in broad daylight in a very busy residential and commercial district. Gillespie is hoping someone may have captured the white pickup truck on video.
I can say unequivocally the gun violence is definitely getting worse. It's more brazen, daylight, women being shot, young children being shot, and it really is just unacceptable.
A spokeswoman for Uber says the company is not aware of the incident and does not have enough information to confirm whether the woman is indeed an Uber Eats driver. Anyone with information is asked to contact Southwest Detectives or the Philadelphia Police tip line at 215-686-TIPS. From Philadelphia Police Headquarters, I'm Trang Do, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, breaking overnight, a man is shot and killed just a block from his home in North Philadelphia. It happened just after 11:30 last night at North 25th and West Gordon Streets. Police say the 26-year-old victim was shot in the head and chest. He died at the hospital. Investigators are working to determine a motive for the gunfire. So far, no arrests have been made. Another deadly shooting, this one in West Philadelphia. Police say a 22-year-old man was shot and killed on the 200 block of North Felton Street last night. Police say the victim was shot multiple times, including in his head. He was rushed to the hospital where he later died. No word yet on a motive and no arrest there. In other news this noon, Philadelphia police are investigating several deadly shootings overnight. As our Jan Carabeo tells us, the gun violence unfolded in neighborhoods across the city.
Police once again busy investigating shootings that left at least 3 people dead by late Wednesday night in neighborhoods all across the city of Philadelphia. 4093. The violence started just after 6:30. A 52-year-old woman identified as Gladys Coriano was shot in the head. Her body found slumped in the driver's seat of her SUV, engine still running, just outside of her home on the 900 block of Hartel Avenue in Fox Chase.
According to witnesses, a vehicle pulled up eastbound on Hartel and pulled up right next to her vehicle. And then the shooter was seen reaching his arm out of the driver door window and firing shots from very close range into the victim's vehicle.
The gunman shot at least 8 times. That woman died at the hospital hours later. In West Philadelphia, around 9:30, police found a 22-year-old man lying on the sidewalk of the 200 block of North Felton Street. He had been shot multiple times. Police found at least 9 spent shell casings near his body. That man died at the hospital. So did a 26-year-old man who police say was shot in the head and chest in North Philadelphia. That gunfire erupted around 11 o'clock at 25th and Gordon Streets.
So we know 7 shots were fired from a semi-automatic gun. All 7 of these shell casings were just feet away from where the victim was laying on the sidewalk.
The motive for all 3 attacks remains unclear, and no arrests have been made. Jan Carabeo, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
In other news, a 24-year-old man is in critical condition after a shooting this morning in the Feltonville section of North Philadelphia, happened just before 10 on the 3500 block of Germantown Avenue. Police said the man was shot once in the lower back. Temple University police transported the victim to nearby Temple University Hospital. At this point, no arrests have been made.
This Philadelphia police officer could be fired after getting arrested today. A woman told police 40-year-old Raheem Montgomery sexually assaulted her about 5 years ago when she was a minor. Montgomery is a 20-year veteran with the police department. He's been suspended for 30 days, and we're told the police commissioner plans to fire him after that.
Back now on Eyewitness News, and new this morning, Philadelphia police are investigating a deadly shooting in West Philadelphia. Around 11 o'clock last night, police discovered a 29-year-old shooting victim near North 56th Street and Arch Street. That man was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police have not yet made any arrests.
Shooting in South Philadelphia has left a man fighting for his life. Police say shots were fired in the area of 28th and Passyunk Avenue. It happened around 1 o'clock this afternoon. The 23-year-old victim was shot 5 times and is in critical condition. No arrests have been made. In light of shattered homicide records in the city of Philadelphia, some leaders got behind an initiative to get guns off the streets, figuring it will do some good. Eyewitness News reporter Alicia Roberts with more.
Saturday, Philadelphia police and city council teamed up with one goal: getting guns off Philly streets at 2 buybacks at Yesha Ministries and Greater Exodus Baptist Church in South and North Philadelphia. Organizers hope to collect 100 firearms, giving away $100 ShopRite gift cards for each one turned over.
They gave out 100 gift cards in 90 minutes.
In total, 224 were taken back. A record day in what is trending once again to be a record year in gun violence.
It's all about making sure that the guns that are turned in today don't end up in the hands of young people.
The city has already recorded 33 homicides as of Friday, including a 9-year-old girl shot at home by her 5-year-old cousin on Wednesday.
It's just such a tragedy, but it is such an avoidable tragedy. This didn't have to happen.
Being a white person, I need to step up, and I think that it's not a black problem in the black neighborhoods. I think it's everybody's problem.
Greenfield Foundation donated the gift cards. Organizers are already planning another buyback in February, noting that while today is just one piece of the problem.
And every gun off the street makes our community safer.
In addition to Saturday's gun buyback programs, anyone can turn in an unwanted gun at any point, no questions asked, at their local police department. Reporting in South Philadelphia, Alicia Roberts, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Philadelphia police have released the name of the victims of last night's double homicide in Northeast Philadelphia. Investigators say 58-year-old Mark Roof and 43-year-old Nicole Newell were found by a maintenance worker inside an apartment at Michener Court in Bustleton. They were apparently both shot once in the head. The investigation by police is ongoing. There are no arrests yet in this case. Now to the first of 2 violent incidents developing tonight in Center City, Philadelphia, only hours apart. A teen was shot once in the buttocks while on the southbound subway platform below ground at 15th and Market Streets. The 18-year-old victim is listed in critical condition. Police tell us they've recovered a weapon but have not located the shooter. The second incident we're referring to happened at 13th and Arch Streets, where police say a slasher stabbed a man in the face and chest. This one happened around 3 o'clock this afternoon. The 24-year-old in this incident is in critical condition at Jefferson Hospital. We are working to learn more about the motives in each case.
Now on last night's shooting at a Center City SEPTA station. SEPTA officials say the shooting happened during an attempted robbery on the southbound subway platform at 15th and Market Streets. The 18-year-old man who was shot remains in critical condition. Police found a weapon, but they're still searching for the shooter.
Well, we're getting a new look at a startling robbery at a SEPTA station. The surveillance video shows the suspect pistol whipping a man sitting on a bench Sunday night at City Hall Station. As the two fought over the gun, another woman jumped into the fight, attacking the victim. He ended up getting shot twice during the struggle. Police are looking for both suspects.
Police are investigating a triple shooting here in Southwest Philadelphia. Detectives found several shell casings at 65th and Dix. A gunman shot 2 20-year-old men and a 19-year-old man around 2:30 this afternoon. They are in stable condition at Penn Presbyterian Hospital. Police are looking for the gunman. There's no word on what led to that shooting.
We're following breaking news right now. A teenager is found dead in a vacant lot in West Philadelphia. CBS 3 cameras on the 4200 block of Fairmount Avenue a short time ago. Police say the 18-year-old was shot in the chest and in the left side and pronounced dead at the scene. No arrests have been made and no weapon was found. Well, police need your help finding a sledgehammer swinging robber in North Philadelphia. Surveillance video shows the thief knocking over gaming machines, then smashing them inside a gas station on North Broad Street last Friday. Another man helped him to grab some cash before they got away.
And we have a warning from Philadelphia police for you this afternoon. Carjackings have skyrocketed in the city, up 82% from last year, and there have already been 28 incidents this year alone. Authorities are reminding drivers to park in well-lit areas and be aware of surroundings. Also, avoid driving alone if possible. Lock your doors while driving or parked, and if you see someone stranded on the road, note their location and call for help when you can.
New tonight, a man shot and killed while driving in Germantown. It happened in the 4900 block of Wakefield Street. Police say the 30-year-old victim was shot twice in the face. No arrests have been made.
We want to get you to some breaking news now. A homicide investigation underway right now in Philadelphia's Wissinoming section. This is a live look at the crime scene. This is set up along the 5700 block of Walker Street, where detectives are just arriving there. Police telling Eyewitness News the male victim was found on the street, shot several times. At this point, no suspects. And of course, we'll continue to bring you more as we get additional information.
There is a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of people in these vehicles. Philadelphia police say they are wanted in connection with a deadly shooting in the West Oak Lane neighborhood the afternoon of December 11th. The silver Toyota 4Runner and white Subaru Outback were following the victim's car when people inside started shooting, killing one person and injuring another. Anyone with any information is asked to call 215-686-TIPS. You can remain anonymous. Katie Johnston for CBS Philly. Philadelphia police need help finding two men they say shot a person in the head in West Philadelphia. There is a $20,000 reward, and you can remain anonymous if you have information. The victim was walking in the area of 40th and Cambridge Street around 4 in the afternoon, January 16th, when he was shot. Anyone with any information on the two suspects seen in this video is asked to call 215-686-TIPS. Katie Johnston for CBS Philly.
And some breaking news out of North Philadelphia. Police say that they are investigating after two people were shot and killed inside of a store. A large police presence at Medina Traders on the 3600 block of Germantown Avenue. No arrests have been made. The identities of the victims have not yet been released.
Police are searching for a suspect or more than one after a murder on the street in broad daylight. CBS 3 cameras on the 2000 block of Rush Street in Kensington. Investigators say a 26-year-old man was shot in the head and pronounced dead on the scene. So far, there's no word on a motive and no one has been arrested.
New tonight, two teenagers shot in Point Breeze. It happened in the 1600 block of South 20th Street. Police say the 18-year-old man was shot multiple times. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The 17-year-old girl was shot in the leg. She is in stable condition. There have been no arrests.
Also new tonight, police say a man was killed inside an apartment in southwest Philadelphia. It happened in the 5800 block of Florence Avenue around 8 o'clock tonight. Police say the man suffered a head injury during an altercation and then died right there. There have been no arrests.
Back now on Eyewitness News this morning, and new this morning, Philadelphia police are investigating a deadly shooting in Feltonville. Investigators were called to a home on the 4900 block of Roarer Street around 3 this morning. It's there they found a 20-year-old man shot in the head. He was pronounced dead just about 30 minutes later.
For following breaking news, a double shooting in West Oak Lane leaves an 18-year-old man dead. It happened around 9 tonight at the intersection of 19th Street and 72nd Avenue. Police say a 22-year-old man was also shot. He is in stable condition. Two nearby homes were also struck by bullets. No one inside of the homes was hurt. No arrests have been made.
Meanwhile, punched, stabbed, and choked. A Philadelphia couple is sharing their horrifying ordeal only with Eyewitness News. Police say this woman brutally attacked another woman last Friday night in North Philadelphia. Now, the victim and her boyfriend who tried to intervene are speaking out, and they believe race was a factor here. Eyewitness News reporter Alicia Roberts has the exclusive story.
I have not slept more than like 30 minutes in a week.
Nearly 1 week ago, this couple, whose names and identities we've concealed, say they were attacked by a woman they've never met for dating interracially. The girlfriend is white, The boyfriend, black. The female attacker is also black.
It takes her seconds to just drop the fact that it was a problem for me being white in that neighborhood. White women shouldn't date black men.
It happened last Friday night around 6:30 p.m. on the 4900 block of Broad Street. The couple says the female suspect came up behind them out of nowhere as they were walking into a convenience store.
Grabs my hair and pulls it, and I'm yanked to the ground.
According to the police report, the attacker continued to beat and stab the girlfriend in the face with her key.
My boyfriend is just trying to peel her off of me, but the more he is doing that, the harder she is gripping onto my hair.
As a crowd gathers, the attacker strangles her.
She is digging her nails into my neck until I can't breathe anymore.
The attacker suddenly stops and goes back to her car. The victim snaps a photo of her.
And as I do that, I see her pull out her gun. And I was like, this is how I die. This is it.
The woman yells, "I have your picture." She says the attacker put her gun back in the car. The couple have a moment to get away. Police describe the suspect as a black female, medium complexion and build, 6 feet tall with straight black hair. The vehicle she was driving is a dark or charcoal gray 2014 to 2016 Lincoln MKS with a temporary tag and a broken passenger side headlight. Physically, that couple is expected to be okay. Emotionally, they say they fear for their lives as that suspect remains on the run. Reporting at police headquarters, Alicia Roberts, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Philadelphia police released clear photos of the woman wanted for carjacking an elderly woman. Take a good look at your screen. Police say 18-year-old Brianna Cruz Gordon and 17-year-old Tanaya Watson stalked and pepper sprayed their victim. The carjacking happened on the 2600 block of South Bancroft Street last Wednesday. A third suspect has yet to be identified. If you know where these women are, please call police.
Philadelphia police say 2 people were shot and killed inside a rooming house in Logan. It happened along the 4500 block of North Old York Road around 10:45 this morning. Police say a 33-year-old man and 35-year-old woman were both found shot to death inside. Police have yet to find a weapon or make any arrests.
Breaking overnight now, Philadelphia police are looking for the driver who critically injured a pedestrian in a hit and run in Oak Lane. Investigators say a car hit the person just before 4 o'clock this morning on the 200 block of East Cheltenham Avenue, then left the scene. Police are looking for a dark color sedan that may be dragging its front bumper. Welcome back. New this morning, someone shoots a woman outside of a bar in Philadelphia's East Frankfort neighborhood. Shell casings littered that scene outside Tab 2 Bar at Paul Street and Torresdale Avenue. Now, the shooting happened around 2:45 this morning. A 34-year-old woman is in stable condition after she was shot twice in the leg.
Well, breaking overnight, a deadly double shooting in Philadelphia's Lawncrest neighborhood. It happened around 1 o'clock this morning on the 500 block of West Hill Creek Drive. Police say the victims, a man and woman, were found in a bedroom. They say a young child was next to one of the victims.
In the room where the 2 victims were shot and killed, there was a 5-year-old child in bed with the deceased male, and that 5-year-old child, fortunately, very luckily, was not injured at all.
Well, the child is now with other family members. There's no word yet on a motive, and so far, no arrests.
6:35, a woman remains in critical condition this morning after an off-duty police officer crashed his car through her home in northeast Philadelphia. That officer is now out on bail and facing some serious charges. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Holden spoke with an eyewitness and has reaction from the police commissioner.
People come down this stretch of road like maniacs.
Martin Brown says he couldn't believe the sound. A car torpedoed through the front of his neighbor's Comley Road home.
I was dipping ice cream for my wife. We heard this loud bang.
Police say the driver was 14th District Officer Gregory Campbell. Sources say the off-duty policeman had just left the FOP Lodge 5 on Caroline Road when he lost control of his sedan, went airborne, and crashed through this living room. Neighbors tell us another man stopped to help and ordered the officer to stay put.
The gentleman that was parked over there said to him, "You sit down there, don't go anywhere, just stay where you're at, don't move."
Officer Campbell has since been charged with DUI and aggravated assault. Meanwhile, in a blur of screaming, it was now a race to help their neighbor who was trapped.
We actually found his wife under a pile of rubble on the outside of the house. So we moved all the, I guess it was furniture for all I know, it was furniture and stuff like that, and we got her to the point where at least fire and rescue knew where she was.
A man inside at the time was also hurt but is expected to be okay. One of the couple's 2 pets was killed in the crash. Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw in a statement said the fact that the offender in this case is a Philadelphia police officer is appalling. Police officers must be held to a higher standard even while off duty. The Fraternal Order of Police did issue a statement saying that it is an unfortunate incident and they continue to monitor the investigation. And we've been checking all night on the victim's condition. She remains in critical. In Northeast Philadelphia, this is Joe Holden, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, the second
Philadelphia police say that an off-duty officer visited several bars in FOP Lodge 5 before crashing into a house on Saturday night. The crash happened on the 2800 block of Comley Road. A woman was trapped and had to be freed by first responders. At last check, she was in critical condition. Police say 27-year-old Officer Gregory Campbell was behind the wheel. He is charged with DUI and aggravated assault. Campbell was arraigned and released last night after posting bail.
I am King.